you might be wondering why I'm recording a video when I'm sitting right next to you in the classroom. Well, mostly it's because I'm sick and I know that my voice is not going to hold out the whole day. So I figured I would go ahead and record. That way I can get what I need to say and then plus say some stuff in class and my voice could hold out. And if you read chapter 29, it's probably one of the most important chapters in the book. This whole section is really. So, where I left off with you guys last Friday, everybody was locked in the smokehouse because they tried to help Isabel save her baby and Noah. As we talked about on Friday, there are only two keys to the smokehouse. One of them is Isabel, who's completely knocked out, mentally and physically exhausted. And the other one is Mr. Derby. And obviously, he's not going to let them out because he put them all there on purpose. And basically, they're all going to be sold the next day. And Clay and Dr. Hoskins are going to be on the wagon with them. But when they least expect it, they hear little footsteps and a knock, and it's Cato. And if you remember Cato, he's the oldest slave on the plantation. And he's a lot like Teeny. He just knows things. He knows everything that happens. The only thing different with him is that he knows a little bit more because he's out in the fields. Teeny's in her kitchen. He's out in the fields with him. He's been breaking his back for years, literally. It's like a record or something, how long he's been there. So he has seen a lot of stuff and he knows a lot of stuff. And he says, listen, you guys have got to run away. As much as you think that you can't, you guys have to. And they're like, whoa, wait, we can't get out of here. And he says, whoa, whoa, whoa. Mm-mm. Dr. Hoskins does not believe in slavery. And if you look at our past chapters, that kind of makes sense because during the whole debacle of when Mr. Derby was killing the baby and Noah and everything, Dr. Hoskins stayed in the house.
By the 1800s, Americans, both black and white, began organizing and speaking out against slavery. The people who wanted to get rid of or abolish slavery were called abolitionists.
However, this is 1738. This is a time before the abolitionist movement. This is a time before America was actually its own country. And this is a time before we had all of those advanced systems like the Underground Railroad that would help the enslaved people reach freedom. So there really wasn't much that Dr. Hoskins could do but stay in their house. We talked about this. If you were very open about being anti-slavery in the South back in these days, you could be severely beaten, you could be killed, you could be completely ostracized from society. So it's kind of like a secret. Initially, the first response from Teeny is, you're right, Polly, you're white, you should run away, leave us behind. And the old Polly, when she first came to Derbyshire Farms, would have been like, yeah, you know what, you're right, I am white, I can get away with this, I can pretend like I'm not indentured. But it's totally different now. She says, no, I could never. Which just goes to show you that Polly really has changed for the better. She used to be the type of person that really didn't care about people with black skin. She didn't care about slaves at all. She completely misunderstood them. And now she couldn't even imagine her life without Amari and Tidbit and Teeny and all these people. She has no other family. This is her family. She probably would have never thought that she'd be in this situation, but yet here she is. So back in these times, Florida is actually
what Cato
owned by
suggests
Spain.
is that they escaped with the doctor,
and
it
doesn't say this
south.
in the book yet.
And that
the only
is
thing you have to do is if you can get to Spanish Florida, you have to pledge your allegiance to the Catholic religion, because most of them are, and to Spain, and they will let you live there as a freed slave. And even if someone crosses over to the Spanish border, you can't be taken back. The thing is, though, you have to make it there, and that's not easy.
The Underground Railroad doesn't exist yet. Not the Underground Railroad that we know. There's no like stops along the way to help you. And then of course Cato comes in and he says, well, Teeny, you've got to send the boy with them. And to this point, Teeny didn't really know what she was going to do. We know that Tidbit's going to be on the wagon, but she didn't know what to do. And she just doesn't want to say goodbye. And I think that's normal. Tidbit is 4 years old. He's the only family that Teeny has. And she's been loving him for these 4 years. No one would want to say goodbye to their son in this type of way, or at all for that matter. So then they have to figure out a way. So she says, oh wait, I know, I've got some seeds. They have to figure out a way. I've got some seeds. And if you remember further in the book back, several times we see Amari hinting around to plants or herbs or roots that can kill people. And she even asks Teeny at one point, like, she's going to give can you show me what this is, or do you have something for me to kill? And Teeny says, no way, Jose. Like, death is not for you to give or take. And Amari says, no, I want to kill myself because I'm a slave. Some seeds to put in his midnight wine. So when he goes to sleep tonight, he's going to be so out of it. He's going to be so loopy that he's not going to be able to go on the wagon ride tomorrow because he's going to be sick. Master Derby is going to get a big old nice and meal. Then she tells Cato a lot of those seeds specifically, and Cato even says, "Leave it up to Cato. I'll do it." She tells Cato she's about to do what we've talked about since the beginning, which is poison the master's food. And you know, as a brief little question, they say, Cato, aren't you worried about, you know, getting in trouble for your involvement? And he says, what's the worst that could happen? They kill me? Good. I can finally be free. And I think that's kind of what he's saying to these girls too. What's the worst that can happen if you run away? They're going to kill you. Well, you can finally be free. It will not be good. And so one of the things he says is, you know, it's extremely dangerous. And once you follow the river, because I'll get that freedom. Say hello to old Cato for me, which is really sweet. And something that they mention in the chapter is what happens if you get caught, which is you get placed with an iron collar on your neck. And the reason why they place these iron collars on their neck couple reasons. Number one, it makes you easily identifiable to know that you are a runaway. So if you ever try to run away again, you're going to be identified immediately. You can't pretend to be someone else. Secondly, it makes all of your tasks that much harder because you literally have an iron collar. On your neck. I'll show you a picture. So every task that you do is going to be very painful for you. You're going to wish that you would have never done that. And that's why Teeny mentions that there was an indentured boy a long time ago that Mr. Derby owned that he put an iron collar on, and that indentured, she suspects that it was like a suicide. All right, so at the end of chapter 29, but transitioning into chapter 30, Teeny says this quotation, which is, long as you remember, child, ain't nothing really ever gone. And she said this to Amari about remembering Africa, and now she's repeating it to Tidbit because she knows that she's giving Tidbit away in hopes that he will be a free man someday. Of course, she has no idea, which would be even harder for a mother to do that, knowing that her son might never make it. And she's giving him the piece of the Kent cloth that she has cherished all this time.
In the Kente, every design has a name and a meaning of it.
But this
So
is her
when you
ancestor,
come to
and
this
she's
one,
kept it, and
this
she
one
wants to
has
pass it on
about
to Tidbit.
3
Because this is
different
the only
designs
thing
in
that she
it.
has
Each one has a meaning.
One cannot learn how to weave the kente within 6 months. It takes many years to perfect this craft. There are lots of designs and you need to keep them all in memory. We don't have the designs on paper to serve as reference.
The kente cloth is part of the heritage of the Ashanti people in Ghana and was initially worn only by royalty. Ordinary Ghanaians now wear it during special occasions like weddings. Each block, pattern and color has a distinct name and meaning.
We made this design in celebration of the love between Kwame Nkrumah and his wife Fatia. We named it Fatia Befits Nkrumah.
These strips of kente are joined together to make the full cloth.
Legend has it that a spider spinning a complex web inspired the earliest kente techniques and designs, and you can see why. A lot of precision and mind work is required to weave the cloth. One like this can take up to 2 days to make.
Weavers say they take 2 months or more to make 6 yards of the kente cloth. The traditional weaving of kente cloth has existed since the 11th century in Ghana. It has defied any form of technological innovation. Samuel says, despite the advanced technology in cloth making, the handmade kente cloth should continue to be preserved to protect the Ghanaian heritage. Nabil Ahmed Rufai, CGTN, Accra, Ghana.
It's really crappy at this beginning of this chapter. As they're saying goodbye to Dr. Hoskins, Mr. Derby makes the comment that Miss Derby already speaks of having another child. Now we know better. We absolutely 1,000 times know better. This indicates to us a very unpleasant future for Mrs. Derby. This means that if she were to get pregnant again, it would probably be by force, an abusive type thing. We see that he has no chance of ever giving her a break, anything like that, from her marital duties as his wife. All 3 kids are in the wagon, Amari, Polly, and Tidbit. And even though Teenie already has this plan, she knows what she's doing, it has worked. Clay is still in bed, which that's good because that means the seeds worked. She still can't say goodbye to her son, and I don't blame her. And at this moment of total desperation, she just begs Mr. Derby, please don't take my son. He's my only child. She screams out into the sky, and Mr. Derby just beats her and drags her back to the kitchen. And of course, him so evil. He says, no, we're taking him. And he hits Hush Puppy, lashes Hush Puppy. And so Hush Puppy goes off into the distance. And of course, poor Tidbit, he's 4 years old. He doesn't understand why his mom can't come with him. He doesn't understand that she's actually doing the best thing for him that she could ever do, which is try to give him a chance at freedom, even though it hurts everybody's feelings. And then to add insult to injury, now Hush Puppy has run off, and that's been that's his best friend, a dog and a boy, that's his best friend. Now Hush Puppy's run off. This chapter is just heartbreaking. And luckily the doctor says, I should probably leave quick. He kind of hurries it along to try to avoid any other punishment by Mr. Derby.